What if everything, every atom, every thought, every distant galaxy spinning in the dark exists inside a closed circle? Not a circle you can draw on paper, not a fence with gates or a dome you can climb. A circle that is the condition for anything to be at all. We wake up each day and move through a world that feels open-ended. The horizon stretches, questions multiply, science pushes further, peeling back veils of quantum foam and cosmic background radiation. Yet every new discovery, every deeper equation, every sharper insight still lands inside the same unbroken curve. Nothing ever steps truly outside. This isn't cruelty. This isn't a locked room designed to frustrate. It is the quiet architecture of a completed whole, a domain where existence was granted precise, sufficient room, and then the granting was sealed so perfectly that the seal itself became invisible. Call it the boundary, not a physical edge you could reach if you traveled far enough, a fundamental limit baked into the nature of what happening can mean. Time flows only forward for us. Cause precedes effect. Consciousness arises here, in these bodies, under these conditions. We can model the universe with breathtaking accuracy, yet the model remains a map drawn entirely within the territory it describes. Philosophers once spoke of phenomena and noumena, the world as it appears to us, structured by our senses, our categories of understanding, and the world as it is in itself, forever receding beyond the reach of direct knowing. We navigate the appearances beautifully. We build cities, write symphonies, fall in love, chart the paths of stars. But the in itself stays silent, not because it hides maliciously, but because our very capacity to ask about it is shaped by the same circle that defines the asking. The hard problem of consciousness whispers the same truth. How does mere arrangement of matter, neurons firing, chemicals dancing, give rise to the vivid, private light of experience? The color red as felt, the ache of loss as suffered, the taste of an orange on a summer afternoon. We can trace every physical correlate, map every correlation, yet the leap from is to feels like remains inside the circle. It does not escape. It illuminates the interior instead. Perhaps the circle was not imposed from without. Perhaps it is the only way a coherent realm could ever form. Without limits, there would be no distinction, no pattern, no story worth telling. Infinite possibility without boundary dissolves into noise. But here, inside the closed curve, possibility is given shape. Sorrow has weight because joy has height. Love matters because loss is real. Discovery thrills because the unknown still lies just beyond the next measured step, yet always within the whole. Imagine the moment the circle was drawn, not with tools or code or divine command in the way we picture commands. A simple, absolute decision. Let there be a domain where things can relate, where sequences can unfold, where awareness can awaken to itself. And once drawn, the domain became self-sustaining. No need for constant external maintenance, no programmer watching from a higher desk, no game master adjusting difficulty, just the elegant, relentless consistency of the rules that allow galaxies to form, life to emerge, minds to question the very rules that make questioning possible. We press against it anyway. We invent mathematics that describe infinities while our actual lives remain finite. We peer through telescopes at the edge of the observable and feel a tug towards something more. We sit in silence and feel the mind strain toward a perspective it cannot occupy. That strain is not failure. It is the circle reminding us of its presence, gently, faithfully. Some traditions spoke of a cave where shadows danced on the wall, while true forms existed elsewhere. But what if there is no elsewhere we are meant to reach? What if the shadows are not deception, but the only light the circle permits, and therefore the only light that can be truly meaningful here? The circle does not mock our longing. It fulfills it by giving longing a place to exist at all. Consider the small, intimate ways the boundary reveals itself. When you hold someone's hand, and for a moment, the separation between two consciousnesses feels almost illusory, yet never quite dissolves. When grief opens a wound so wide it seems the universe should crack, yet the universe continues its steady orbit. When a child asks why for the 100th time, and you realize no chain of explanations will ever reach the first cause, because the first cause lies at the curve where explanation itself curves back. In those moments, we touch the closure not as limitation, but as gift. The gift of a world where things can matter precisely because they cannot spill into formless infinity. We will never see the hand that drew the circle. We will never stand outside and admire its perfect roundness. Our eyes, our instruments, our deepest intuitions are all calibrated to the interior. And yet, here is the quiet miracle. We can love the interior so completely that love itself becomes a kind of seeing. Not seeing beyond, but seeing through the given conditions with such intensity that the conditions glow. To live inside the closed circle is not to be diminished. It is to be entrusted with a finite space in which the infinite can be felt as tension, as beauty, as the ache that refuses to be ignored. Every act of creation, a painting, a cohesion, a kindness offered in darkness, is a small affirmation. I am here, fully inside, and I will make the inside sing. Every moment of wonder at a sunset or a piece of music is the circle allowing itself to be appreciated from within. We do not need to escape to be free. We need only to inhabit so honestly, so attentively, that the boundary becomes not a wall, but the necessary frame that lets the picture exist. There is peace in this recognition. Not the peace of resignation, but the peace of alignment, of stopping the endless straining outward, and instead turning the full force of our attention inward, toward the astonishing fact that anything exists at all within these exact parameters. The circle holds us. It holds the stars. It holds the pain and the laughter and the questions that have no final answer. And in holding us so steadily, it allows us to become the part of the whole that notices the holding. That noticing may be the closest we ever come to the hand that drew the line. Not by breaking through, but by becoming so transparent to the given shape that the shape itself seems to look back at us with quiet recognition. So, the next time the night feels too vast or the questions too sharp, do not rush to find the exit that isn't there. Sit inside the circle, breathe inside the circle, love inside the circle, create, grieve, wonder, and rest, all inside the circle, because this closed hole is not a lesser reality. It is the only reality we were ever given, and it is enough, more than enough. It is the place where enough first became possible. In the end, perhaps the deepest wisdom is not to transcend the boundary, but to meet it with open hands and say, "Thank you for the circle. I will live brightly within it."